Hey guys, how we doing? It is a gorgeous Saturday. Saturday selections just got done on College Game Day. And today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go all college football for this episode. Then tonight, the pick video will release tonight at 8 o'clock. But just got done watching College Game Day. Pumped for today. College football. You guys know I just absolutely freaking love football. Doesn't matter whether it's college or NFL. So I wanted to go over some of the games today because we're seeing good football. If you've watched the episodes, we are now on episode 20, baby. We are episode 20, rolling along. Appreciate the support and everybody hanging out. So we're just gonna have some fun. We're gonna watch college football today. We're gonna talk college football and kind of what the landscape is. So first thing, let's dive into the big thing that's going on. We've got head coaching positions open at really big schools. Some major brands. Wisconsin fired their head coach this week. That is a big brand, especially in the Big Ten. Big brand of football, known for being power, known for being a powerhouse, known for turning out defensive players, known for turning out running backs. They have a reputation and a standard to uphold, and unfortunately, Paul Chryst just was not doing it. He is an old-fashioned coach that does not like NIL. He cannot stand the fact that you've got to do and basically babysit people now as a head coach, different from being able to just lead. I hope for his sake that an NFL team will look at him for a coaching job in the NFL, whether it be offensive coordinator or special teams coach. But he needs to be in a position where he's able to be with men, able to lead men, be tough on them. He needs a different position. Colorado. I remember when Colorado was good. Cordell Stewart. I remember Colorado players. I remember Colorado versus Oklahoma, Colorado versus Nebraska. And it's unfortunate how far they've dropped. Very unfortunate. The Buffs, I think, are in a really good place in the country to capitalize, depending on what conference they move to, if they move. We don't know if they're moving right now. I guarantee you by the end of the year, we're going to find out a lot more about what the divisions are going to look like in 2024. We're starting the 2023-2024 season. So, next year into the year after that. We're going to find out a lot about that. Colorado may stay pat where they're at, or there is a possibility they could also come over and create the rivalry with Nebraska and join the Big Ten. There's a lot of different things being talked about behind closed doors, a lot of things that'll come out as the year ends, and then we'll go from there. But Colorado's open. You've got Arizona State, the Sun Devils. That position is open. And that position, if I am any coach, I would love to go down there to Tempe and absolutely love to coach the Arizona State Sun Devils. That is a prime job to be able to go have. Another job I want to throw out right now is Georgia Tech. That job, with it being in the ACC, being in the conference it is, you have a recruiting ability, but the problem is the SEC, where you're located down there, is so strong. And you struggle to recruit because the SEC dominates, because the SEC is bigger than the ACC. They're more competitive. Florida State, give Florida State credit. They have recruited well enough to be able to perform. Love where they're at. And that's great. They're regrowing. Miami, same thing. Georgia Tech being in Atlanta, it's not good. It's really not good for them. Recruiting is difficult. So I think a coach that comes in there, you're going to need to be a lot more patient with whoever the new coach is. May have to have somebody that can just grow the foundation of the program again. And that matters. That matters. Brett Bielema in Illinois is building on the foundation that Lovie Smith set in Illinois. Illinois was in shambles. Lovie Smith comes in, and there's at least a foundation of how you act, how we operate, being a professional college football program, acting the part of a respected program. That's what you need in Georgia Tech right now. You need somebody to come in, change the culture back to we are a college football brand that plays in one of the power conferences. We need to act like it. We need to make the moves that would be of a big time school. We may not have all the assets as everybody else does, may not have all the types of recruits as everybody else, but we're going to be ourselves. We're going to teach our players. We're going to grow our players, and we're going to play hard football. And that's how you build a program back up. So those are the types of coaches that you're probably looking at in Georgia Tech. But let's get to today. I am excited. I am absolutely excited. College Game Day was in Lawrence, Kansas for the Kansas Jayhawks. The Jayhawks. This isn't college basketball. This is college football. The Jayhawks are ranked, and if they win today, they actually become bowl eligible. They would be 6-0 and already be bowl eligible. Congratulations to Kansas just on that merit this year. Just on that merit alone. But let's run down some of the games because I want to get to watching them. They're paused on the television right now, which is good. I can skip the commercials pretty easily then. So let's start out exactly what's going on right now. Michigan versus Indiana. Indiana has no prayer. We really don't. We're banged up and our quarterback absolutely stinks. I cannot stand our quarterback. He is late on throws. He does not have an arm. Tom Allen, Michael Penix Jr. was an amazing quarterback, got injured back-to-back years, and then transfers to Washington and is in the top 5 in college football in passing yards in Washington. We knew he was that good here. Every IU fan knew he was that good. He transferred. Good for him. He's having success. Yay. IU absolutely stinks. They've played close games to teams they should have blown out. The defense doesn't look as stout right now. Michigan will probably be able to roll us. But you know what? Let's hope. Let's hope. Because football fans that's all we got as football fans is hope. And that we'll get to the Colts game after this. We'll talk about the Colts and Broncos game on Thursday night in a second. But Michigan's probably going to win. Tennessee against LSU. This is a huge game for Tennessee. Tennessee is trying to prove they are once again a respectable program as they were under Phil Fulmer. Really, Phil Fulmer and Peyton Manning was the last time they were really, really respected. They haven't had seasons where teams were worried about really losing to them. It was more like we screwed up enough to let Tennessee beat us. Tennessee is going into Baton Rouge today against LSU, and I cannot wait for the outcome of that game. I want Tennessee to win. The Orange, they got to. The Volunteers need to be able to be there. They need to be another team in the East besides Georgia that can say, we can beat you. I believe Kentucky can. The Kentucky-Ole Miss game, honestly, we'll get to that game in a second here with Kentucky, but that game, Kentucky should have won. The SEC East as a whole looks just as competitive as the SEC West, which has not been the case. And that is great for college football. The matchups are better across divisions, and it sets everything up so much better. Looking forward to watching this game. I've got Tennessee beating LSU. TCU, Kansas, already touched on it. I want Kansas to win. I love TCU. Horned Frogs. Nope. Jayhawks today, baby. It is Kansas Jayhawks today at home. College Game Day there. It would be perfect for them to pull this one out, and I hope they are able to do so. That program has done it the right way. They've built up through the steps. They didn't skip something. They rebuilt the culture. They did it right. And I love seeing programs and schools and coaches that do it right getting rewarded for their work. And I hope Kansas wins. That's my pick. Arkansas, Mississippi State. Arkansas no longer ranked, but this is a big game. It is a West Division game. If Arkansas beats Mississippi State already has 2 losses, and it kind of changes things. So let's look at some of the afternoon games. So this afternoon, Auburn versus Georgia. If you're Georgia, you got to be careful. If you're Georgia, you got to be careful. You don't want to slip up against Auburn. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. Texas Tech has players. They beat Texas 2 weeks ago. Watch out for that game. Utah and UCLA. This is the game I personally would be watching this afternoon in the Rose Bowl. Utah, UCLA. Hopefully the Rose Bowl will be more than 1/10 full for this game so that the sky shots actually look relatively good. Utah is fighting to stay at the top of the Pac-12. UCLA wants to get there and show that USC and Utah have to worry about them potentially taking the division. I loved the game between UCLA and Washington last Friday. That was fantastic. UCLA looks strong. They're at home. I want Utah to win because I think the Utes are going to be able to beat USC. But at this point, UCLA may be able to beat USC. I don't want to pick this game, so I'm just going to go with who I want to win. I want the Utah Utes to win. I want the Utes to win because I think they will have a chance to make the college football playoff if they do. But if UCLA wins, it's not going to be horrible because they're still undefeated, and it does give them a path to still be able to make it to the playoff. I just don't think they're going to be as respected as Utah already is based off of everything else. Let's move to tonight's games. Excuse me. So tonight, it's a lot of trap games. Teams potentially looking ahead. You got Clemson at Boston College. The problem is Clemson comes off that big win against North Carolina State. Potentially looking ahead, you can't look past the Golden Eagles. You just can't do it. I've actually been to Alumni Stadium when my wife and I lived up in Maine. We went down to Alumni Stadium. It's a beautiful place. Campus is absolutely gorgeous. It's where Matt Ryan was quarterback in college. You can't look past them. I don't think Clemson will. Think they'll get the W, but look for that game to be closer than everybody else thinks because Boston College can be scrappy and hang around. Washington State, USC. USC could easily be looking ahead. Washington State Cougars. This is a trap game for them. This is an absolute trap game for them. They've got USC right where you want them. They're looking more ahead because they're home. They're not really confident based off of how the last couple weeks have gone. Play some tighter defense. Use the clock. Game could be close. The USC defense isn't great. You could get in the shootout with USC and pull it out. So look out tonight for Washington State to potentially give USC a rough running. South Carolina at Kentucky. Kentucky's first game from the Ole Miss loss. I said I was going to talk about this. Here's what I saw. Kentucky's quarterback is considered one of the top 3 quarterbacks coming out of this year's class to go to the NFL. I don't want him being the quarterback of my team based off of how he has performed in the bigger games. His issue is going to be holding on to the ball way too long. Last week he did it against Ole Miss. It cost Kentucky the game. He threw 3 really bad passes in the last 2 drives, and he had the interception to close out the game that never should have been thrown. He didn't have to throw the ball. He did not have to throw the ball. He did and lost it. Just lost the game for Kentucky. He's going to have to clean that up for, in my opinion, to be worthy of a top 10 draft spot in the NFL. His decision making under pressure is not great. And we've seen quarterbacks that have had good decision making under pressure not work in the NFL. I don't remember one that's had bad decision making under pressure be drafted high enough to say, well, he should have worked or shouldn't have worked. I'm not totally sold on their quarterback. I watched him some last year. I've watched him a lot this year because of the Florida game. because the Ole Miss game. I've watched Kentucky 3 games this year. I'm not overly impressed with him as quarterback. I would not want the Colts trading up to draft him to sit behind Matt Ryan. I don't. He's got a great arm. The decision making, the head, the thinking, the mentality just doesn't seem to be there. That's the only thing that I can really say off of it. Doesn't seem to be there. All right, 2 more games I wanted, actually 3 more games I want to make note of. Texas A&M and Alabama, huge offseason spat between Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, off of the NIL and signing players and how they got players and how they recruited players and where everything is and how everything's working. Listen, take everything else aside. Alabama's quarterback is probably going to be out. Texas A&M has a shot. Both teams have a chip on their shoulder. I think it's going to be rough. I think it's going to be ugly. Alabama will probably win 2017, but it's going to be, tempers could flare tonight. There could be multiple fights on the field, of which I do not like in college football. I love passion. I love intensity. Don't start fighting on the football field. The way you fight on the football field is you block harder, you receive the ball harder, and you run people over if you're a running back. Like, that's how you fight on the football field. You don't start a bunch of scraps. I'm sorry. So there's that game tonight. Florida State, NC State. Can NC State bounce back after the loss to Clemson last week? Liked how they look. I still love their defense, and I still think they're a threat if Clemson gets a loss, to be able to keep pressure on Clemson to win that side of the ACC. And then the final game tonight, want to draw your attention, Oregon State and Stanford, 2 teams that neither one of them are ranked, but they're programs that could be huge here in 2 years and very important to the life of a conference, whichever one they end up in. Could be very important to the life of the conference, whether it's the Pac-12 or whether the Big 12 and the Pac-12 merge, whatever it ends up being. These 2 schools are going to be very important to that conference. So I want to, tonight, that's the late game. Doesn't start till 11 o'clock, 8 o'clock out on the West Coast. That's the late game, but that game to me is going to be a fun game to watch. The Oregon State Beavers versus Stanford Cardinals. All right, let's get into the Colts game real fast, and then we'll shut down this video, and we will rock and roll for the rest of the day. And like I said, the pick video will be out later. And then FYI, I've got the videos for the standings. Remember, week 4, I redid my standings. Didn't get them out this week. I apologize. They will be out next week. I've recorded them ahead of time, so keep that in mind. They will not have the week 5 results, of which it is coming up this weekend. They will not have week 5 factored into them, and some stuff I talk about may not have week 5 figured in. Don't be alarmed. It's because they were recorded before Sunday took place, but they're released next week. So the Colts game. Oh, the Colts game. Oh, my word. Okay. We got to be honest. J-Dog and I, right there on the screen. Right there. Nope, other way. This way. That way. Yeah, that way. There we go. That way. J-Dog and I, neither one of us liked the game. I made the joke while I was on Voice with the guys Thursday night. It would be like this Colts team to go 1-2-2. And it'd be like this NFL season to have a team go 1-2-2 and have 2 ties already this year. And almost had 3. And really just a real odd, very odd NFL season thus far. So let's dive into the game. What's the problem in Indianapolis? I'm still going to stick with Ryan is not the problem. Ryan cannot get comfortable. He's not a running quarterback. If this was Justin Fields, if this was Zach Wilson, even Daniel Jones, I think the optics would look different because they can move more. Matt Ryan is more or less an old-fashioned Peyton Manning statue back there, which I love. But there's one drive in that game, and it's the drive that mattered. There's one drive in that game that showed why Matt Ryan is our quarterback and not Carson Wentz. Matt Ryan knew he had to do something. The final drive for the Colts in regulation to tie the Denver Broncos in the fourth quarter, running down 2 minutes, going down the field. Matt Ryan may not have mentally trusted his team, may not mentally have trusted his offensive line to protect him, but he acted as if he did, being the leader of the team, saying, I will do my job, you just do yours. He made some beautiful throws. We had great play calls on that final drive. The trap from the shotgun was a genius call to Deion Jackson. We were without our top 2 running backs. Not enough is being talked about the fact that the Colts didn't have both their top 2 running backs for the entire game. Our third string, Deion Jackson, I like him. I liked him when we picked him up. I've always liked him. I like Phillip Lindsay. If Taylor would be out for another week, I wouldn't have a problem with Deion Jackson starting whatsoever. So not enough has been talked about that. They changed the offensive line, and it's going to work. Raymond first started left tackle as a rookie, was a little rough, but the offensive line in general looked better. But I think this team, as that offensive line right now, is designed for shotgun and shotgun only. They don't look as powerful right now. Until they get comfortable with blocking assignments and not letting guys just run through the line, until then, I think they need to continue doing what they did on the final 3 drives of that game for the Colts, keeping the tight end or the running back to block, running crisp routes. Alec Pierce is a beast. I love Pierce. I love the draft pick out of Cincinnati. I loved him coming out as a receiver. Just his hands are fantastic. I love him as a good receiver. We've got a good Pittman is a 1.5. Pierce, I believe, is a 1.5. I don't put him necessarily as a 1, but to me, Pierce acts more like Reggie Wayne, to where he's a 2 right now. Definitely a 2 right now. He can be a 1 if we get a good, solid quarterback foundation in 5 years, just like Wayne was after Harrison retired. He can become a 1. He's got to work on his crispness of his routes, but his route running for a rookie is really good. And his hands are great. His eyes are fantastic. The catches he's made have been wonderful. The Colts pull it out in overtime. Amazingly. Still don't know how. I feel for Dog. The Broncos had a lot of lofty expectations, and honestly, here's where I'm going to put a lot of this. People are trying to point fingers in Denver, and a lot of commentators said this was going to happen. There's going to be a lot of finger pointing after this game of who's doing what. The reality is, I don't think Nathaniel Hackett is a good coach. I don't. He needs to go back to being an offensive coordinator. That's really what it looks like. That's okay. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. Get rid of Hackett at the end of the year. I hope they still can make the playoffs. They've got a defense that can absolutely get them there. This team with Tebow could make the playoffs. That defense is dang good. The defense is good. They were all over Matt Ryan all night. This defense is solid. You just gotta be just capable on offense, basically, to win these games. That's really all you have to do. Nathaniel Hackett needs to learn just to call a simple game plan, get down the field, average 21 points a game. The Broncos can win the majority of their remaining games, still make the playoffs, and still be there. But I think you still fire Hackett at the end of the year, even if you make the playoffs. I don't think he's the coach that's going to be able to elevate the team, but I think the roster's just too good to let themselves lose. The roster is just too good. So there's the NFL wrap-up from Thursday night. Don't want to take too much time on it. It was an ugly game for most people to watch. It was a snoozer. Both Dog and I hate that. But the reality is, it was tough. It was rough to watch. The punters were amazing. Punters were absolutely outstanding. Give the punters a raise. What are you going to do? But guys, it is Saturday. It is college football day. I am Believe it or not, the wife and kids are out of the house this weekend, so I have got TV all day long, baby. I got the TV all day today, all day tomorrow for football. Dang it, it's going to be a good weekend. So guys, you have a good weekend, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video so it helps the algorithm on YouTube. Much appreciated. Wings up, hawk out, football on.